live. It says we're live, but anyways, hello everyone. Welcome to Alive and Streaming. Happy Saturday. I'm your host, Ted, as everybody knows. And I want to give a shout out to all the Alive and streamers that tune in all the time that I'm on, whether you're new or old, returning or something. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Today is going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. I got the legendary in the underground scene, two guys, Will Carroll and Matt Harvey. They've reformed their band Scarecrow, and we're going to be talking about that right now. Let's let them in. Are they in? Yes, they are. There's Matt Harvey and there's Will
Howdy.
Carroll. How you
Yep.
guys? Hey guys, how are you guys doing?
All right. Good, man. I'm doing good.
All right, Matt Harvey. First of all, Matt is the first timer on Alive and Streaming. Will's been on quite a few times. So Matt, thank you very much for joining in.
Absolute pleasure, man. Thank you for having me.
No worries, man. Will, how are you? What, it's been since Aftershock?
It's been craziness, just Exhumed is getting ready for our first tour in like almost 2 years, starting on Friday. So yeah, it's just like it's a total clusterfuck of last minute stuff and trying to get all of our ducks in a row and coordinate everybody's comings and goings. And so this is a nice kind of break to just chill and shoot the shit for a few minutes instead of worrying about all that stuff.
Cool. Now I do want to talk about the reactivated Scarecrow and your new EP, Raise the Death's Head, which is awesome. But before we do that, let's rewind all the way back. How did you two guys meet? What's the history here?
Oh, man. I met Matt in the early 90s when Exhumed were playing they were playing the Omni at one of those Sunday afternoon, like 20 band death metal grindcore things. You know what I'm talking about, Matt? Remember those things at the Omni?
I do. I think the one Abhorrence and maybe Immortal Fate and Us and
sounds right. Maybe even Vaughn.
Maybe.
But yeah, I met him back then. I was a fan of Exhumed starting from back then.
I don't know why, but it was very nice.
Then over the years, like you and me, Ted, our band Brood, we played with Exhumed at the Berkeley Square.
Wow.
Thanatopsis, Exhumed, Brood, and I think a band called Indulgence opened. But so yeah, just throughout the years, just playing shows with them. Old Granddad played a bunch of shows with Exhumed at different points in time, and just hanging out at Lucifer's Hammer, rapping with him there, and just seemed like we both had a lot of similar interests and likes and comic books and same bands and shit. So in the mid 2000s, he reached out to me about doing the Scarecrow thing, and it was perfect timing for me because I'd stepped out of the scene for like a year because my life was kind of in disarray. So I needed to regroup, if you will, and that was the first thing I did, drumming and metal wise, was going back into it was with Scarecrow, jamming with Matt Harvey. It kind of got me back in the game, and I was also jamming with Ulysses Siren at the same time. So I'm thankful for that, Matt. Thank you for getting me back.
It's cool. Yeah. I mean, Will and I were just always sort of like kicking around the Bay Area scene. And, especially in the 90s, I thought there was like a lot of like really pretentious people in the San Francisco scene specifically. And I got along with most of them, and they're basically cool guys, but Will was not one of the pretentious people. I was like, this guy's just a regular dude. Like, I can vibe with this dude. And, I always really liked his drumming. And when I was kind of coming up with the idea for the project, he was like the first and only person that I thought of. So, yeah, here we are back again.
I mean, you picked the right dude for the right project. Basically, you picked the right dudes, plural,
right,
for the project. Now, was before Scarecrow, was Exhumed your only band? Because I know you're in multiple bands right now. You got Gruesome, you got Pounder, you got who? You're like the Will Carroll of guitar, basically.
I'll take that as a compliment. I was doing a thrash metal band called Decapitator as well.
That's right.
we did a record in 99 and we did another one, I don't know, 2004, one of those years. I'm not sure. But it was Scarecrow was definitely a separate entity, even though they're both kind of in the thrash metal realm. Scarecrow to me was much more, it was designed to sort of be more descended from British metal specifically, and like, I guess you call it proto metal. I don't know, like, Blue Oyster Cult, April Wine, Deep Purple, like that kind of stuff. I wanted to do like a very heavy band, like the early Bay Area stuff that was directly descended from that, whereas Decapitator was kind of like a Creator, Sodom, kind of thing. So,
But Scarecrow sounds more like, and you guys mentioned it, like Metallica to me.
Yes,
like
exactly.
very, very influenced, very, very heavy
Right.
influence, So, I mean,
no reason to dance around the obvious.
yeah,
No.
but it's good. I mean, I embrace it. I accept, I love it because I'm a huge Metallica fan, as Will would know. So
Sure.
when it comes down to like Exhumed is death metal, you write a whole bunch of riffs. I mean, how do you separate them?
I mean, it's pretty easy. Generally, like, I can tell when I hear a riff, I'm like, oh, that goes in this box. I think a lot of that mindset comes from back when I was a kid being a comic book collector. One of the things that you realize is that like Batman can't fight Wolverine because like Wolverine's Marvel and Batman's DC, and he goes over here and he goes over there and they don't really mix, And so I think I sort of took that mentality forward into creating different musical projects. Like, this goes in this box and this goes in that box. It's a very compartmentalized way of working,
I get what you're saying.
I have a question though.
Good.
I have a quick, real quick.
Please, come on, Will.
Pounder's not that far away from Scarecrow. Like, are there ever riffs where you're like, oh, I could go either way, or like, do you just settle for one? Like, does that ever happen? Like, you have to make a decision.
Well, with Pounder, honestly, like I kind of started writing for that band, like, God, maybe eight years ago now. So like, we already have a third album like written and ready to be recorded, and I don't think I've written a song in like 2 years. I kind of just went on a spree of just writing this stuff. To me, the Pounder stuff is it's a lot more kind of overtly melodic, and we're not afraid to kind of go in a direction that somebody maybe like, even like, not just new wave British heavy metal, but like Dokken or even like Skid Row or something might have gone, Scarecrow, I think I was always, it's rock orientated, but it's a lot kind of darker overall,
So Will, when Matt approached you, how did that come about? Did you hear any songs, or you guys just got together and just started jamming? Well, I mean, how did that come to be?
At the first time?
Yeah.
No, I didn't hear any music, but I knew Matt's reputation, and just being a fan of Exhumed and Decapitator, I was on board without even hearing anything. I was like, sure. I mean, he's known to be a riffmeister, so I knew he'd bring something good to the table. So, like I said, I wasn't really playing at the time, so I was itching to get back into it, and this was a perfect opportunity. So, yeah, I went in sight unseen, if you will.
How was that first rehearsal?
I just remember it being really fun because, I mean, as you know, Will's like a human jukebox. Like, you just play one riff from whatever song, and then he just starts playing it, and pretty soon you're like, oh shit, we're at the part where I stopped learning the riffs, and he's like, oh no, the next part goes like this. You're like, fuck. So
yeah,
we played all kinds of stuff.
Totally. The first jam was mostly just jamming on other people's music. Yeah. That was cool.
Just breaking it in, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and was it just you, Matt? Did you already know who you want as players, or did you just start off with Will?
Well, I kind of, in metal, if you don't have a good drummer, like you kind of don't have a good band.
Exactly.
I mean, unless it's like 1986 and previous, I feel like then it was okay. You know,
Like
'cause I'm,
AKA Louis Clemente.
or I was thinking more like, you know, Abaddon or Mike Suss or, you know, some of those guys.
Okay.
But
Tommy from
Tommy
from
from
this. Yeah, that's a good one.
that
Three
is a
good,
very good one.
3 perfect examples. Yeah, of drummers.
Yeah. And so I kind of felt like that would be the backbone. Bud, who was our bass player, later guitarist in Exhumed, I had him in mind right from the beginning because, you know, he was known as the guy in Exhumed that would throw up on stage. But, you know, I was one of the few people that knew he was like a super shredder, like Marty Friedman level player. And then I had seen Will play with Hail Satan, and I didn't know his name was Damien, but I did think that guy from playing bass for Hail Satan would be really good for this band. Like he would be perfect, you know?
Yeah, man. I mean, you guys, all the right players that really execute the songs. I mean, I've been listening to the EP this week, and I was telling Will earlier, I like the EP. My favorite song is Victory.
Oh, cool.
What does that mean? Victory with a question mark? Like, is it like, come on, Matt, give the scoop.
Well, you know, originally I wrote the song. I mean, these songs are all quite old. Originally, I wrote the song after, you remember when George W. Bush went on the aircraft carrier with the mission accomplished sign? And he's like, we won Afghanistan. And then it was like, this was filmed at an aircraft carrier, like outside San Diego Harbor, like where he's just like, we did it. And it's like, did we? Like, what did we do? Anyway, and so when we were getting the EP together, I knew I was going to have to rewrite the lyrics. And I didn't really know what it was going to be about. And then January 6th happened. And there are all these people saying that the guy that didn't win won. And I was like, what? This is your idea of victory? Like, you love this country so much, you're gonna like attack it? Like, what the fuck? So that was kind of what the new version is about. So yeah.
Gotcha, dude. I mean, we got a question from the UK. Darren Diggle, Matt and Will, where did you get the name Scarecrow? And please don't say the Wizard of Oz.
well, Matt should answer that one. Yeah.
I had the name in mind because I wanted something simple and memorable. But really, you know, I was thinking about, you know, at the time I just got done working at Alternative Tentacles, which is owned by Jello. So I was exposed to like tons of this political shit. And I was just thinking about all the things that people are afraid of or taught to be afraid of. And, you know, people get worked up about, whether it's people that are different or have a different lifestyle or new ideas. And they're like, you know, really afraid. It's their first reaction. And most of the time those things are, you know, are nothing really to be afraid of. You know, it's like all the things that we're taught to fear are mostly bullshit. So it's like, okay, it's like a scarecrow, right? And I was like, cool. And that's also like a scary image that kind of already suggests like, you know, your album cover idea and everything right there. And that was kind of my thought. It's like, you know, it's scary, but it's like we need to learn to like look beyond the things that we're afraid of, you know.
Gotcha. And I like the name. I like the logo. It looks fucking awesome. Getting back to the writing, when you guys started writing, Will, as we know, Matt's a riff meister, crazy ass riffing for all these bands. What did you think of the material that he was coming up with when you guys started writing for Scarecrow?
I mean, honestly, the first thing that came to mind was like, man, this sounds a lot like Metallica.
But you were into it.
Right.
But I was into it. I mean, come on, old Metallica is great. And if you're gonna emulate a band, you know, early Metallica is a really good thing to start your group on. So I was into it, man. Like the songs were epic and lengthy, which I like. I like playing long songs, and they were fast, and yeah, everything I would look for in a song were in there. So I was stoked, man. And there was like a lot of different levels to it. It's not all fast, and it's not all, you know, beating down your head with heaviness. It's got some melody to it, and we even have a couple of ballads, kind of,
Right.
you know. So I remember when what's the name of the ballad we used to play back in the day?
It's Desperate Hours. It's the same one we just
It's still Desperate Hours. That's the song we played. Yeah. And before the songs, before that song, Matt would say on stage, "If you're too metal for a ballad, you're not metal enough for me." That was great.
So
I think Scarecrow is the first band I've ever been in that has a ballad. I've never played a ballad before in my life, not even in cover bands or anything. So
Wow.
that was a new experience for me, and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of fun playing this ballad beat." You know, the ballad heavy metal beat. Boom, boom, dun, boom, 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 you know, that kind of shit. So I was having fun with it. Like, hey, man, I sound like a real rock and roller up here.
You sound like what Lars should be sounding today.
Yeah, you know those one-handed palm rolls. You know?
Yeah. So I mean, were you guys writing as a duo before you brought Bud and Damien in?
Well, I mean, Matt wrote all the music, and we were jamming as a duo, but
Yeah.
all the songs were already written. And I think, I mean, Bud and Damien came in around the same time, maybe even the same. Oh no, you, me, and Matt, Damien, and myself were jamming for a little while, and Bud came in last. But when Bud came in, I didn't know him. I'd never met him before.
Yeah, I like this story. You told me this story.
Yeah, I was like,
It is a good
went
one.
to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom at the studio. I'm walking back to the studio, and Bud had shown up and set up. And I hear someone playing the Pac-Man theme song in our room on the car. I was like, "What the fuck?" And I walk in, and it's Bud doing the and he even did the waka waka. I was like, "This guy's in. This guy's in."
Well, I remember, you know, Damien and Will and I had a few rehearsals, and then Will set up a gig for us, and Bud was supposed to come and jam, and he didn't. And then it got to like a couple days before the first show, and Bud was like, "Oh, I forgot I have like a dinner or some random engagement, but I can only come for like 40 minutes." And so he showed up, played the Pac-Man theme, and Damien was like, "I don't know about, you know, who is this guy? Like, is he going to show up? Is he good? Like, what?" And he came in, like, met everybody, played Pac-Man. We played all the songs through perfectly. And he was like, "That was really fun, guys. I'm excited for the show on whatever day. Like, I'm really sorry I have to run, but okay, see you later." And that was it. And it was like, he left. And then Will and Damien just kind of looked at me like, "Well, he's great. Okay, that's it." So it was a very random, random vibe.
I saw you guys quite a few times at Bender's and Annie Social Club, I believe. And
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, around 2008, like, oh man, the summer of 2008, I believe. It's around that time. You guys tore the house down, man. I mean, you guys were on your way to, you guys were getting a really cool buzz. Then all of a sudden, it didn't happen no more. So, I mean, I saw quite a few shows. You guys were on it. People were digging it. I was digging it, and all of a sudden, Scarecrow wasn't happening. What happened with that? I mean, you guys were moving. You guys were making some noise in the Bay Area. You guys played some shows with LA. You guys did a tour with like a 2-week tour. Was it to the Midwest and back?
Yeah, I think we made it to Oklahoma.
Yeah. And you guys toured with Fuel by Fire, or all these bands. You guys were just in that realm, like making some noise, and all of a sudden, boom.
We had sort of several doors that kind of became ajar and then never really opened. The only kind of label that sniffed around seriously that I remember talking to was Earache, and I already knew by then that they have a terrible reputation and they were like getting sued by municipal waste. And I had talked to all the Napalm guys and Carcass guys and stuff, and they all hated the label. And it just seemed like things kept almost materializing and the recording that we did, none of us were that happy with. And what it came down to ultimately was that at the time my personal life was like a fucking mess, and I just wasn't able to focus on the band anymore without sort of some kind of tangible, like, hey, we signed a contract, we are doing this. And I can't remember, I think I was calling Will to be like, yeah, I can't do this. At the same time, he was trying to call me to be like, yeah, dude, like your head's not in the game. Like we gotta let you go kind of deal. And yeah, it just sort of fizzled, which was really frustrating because in the Bay Area, I thought we were doing really good. And we did have a good buzz and we had a good following. And it really seemed multiple times like, okay, things are about to start happening. Like, but it was like, no.
Yeah, it definitely, after a while, it seemed like we were just kind of spinning our wheels a little bit and not getting forward ground. And then Matt moved to Hawaii for a while, and it's kind of weird because Matt named the band, wrote all the music, so it was basically Matt's band. But we had worked so hard for 2 or 3 years, and just played a shit ton of shows and just going at it. The three of us, not just me, but Damien and Bud as well, we didn't want to stop. We had gotten this far, and we're all good players and good chemistry and everything. So while Matt was out of the picture for a while, people don't know this, but we got Ted into the band, and Ted played with us for a little while. We wrote a whole new batch of songs. Damien actually wrote quite a lot of stuff, and he did, and it was still in the same vein as the original Scarecrow, but we only played a few shows with that lineup. And we even got Marcus, this guy Marcus, he used to sing for Hatchet, to front the band for a couple of shows. That didn't go so well.
I love Marcus, but I don't see that. Yeah, I don't see that working. But hey, you're trying things.
It looked good on paper, I guess, and I was like, I don't know, but it didn't work, man. I remember we played the Murder Fest in LA when Ted was in the band and Marcus singing. And Marcus didn't know the song titles, so I kind of had to between songs lean over my kit and whisper to him what the next song that said. So giving him a set list wouldn't have helped because he doesn't know what the song titles are. And the next song was the fast one, the fastest song. And we had only played 2 or 3 songs, and so I leaned over and said, the fast one, and he goes, all right, this is our last one. I go, the fast one, you idiot! I totally yelled it. You can hear it through all the mics on my drum set. The fast one, you idiot! And it was fun a lot of people too, man.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's funny, man. I remember that. But yeah, I mean,
but then, with the Ted version of Scarecrow, the last show we played with that lineup was at the Elbow Room supporting the Saviors, and that was a sold out gig.
Oh, cool.
It was packed. And I remember the guys from Death Angel were at that show. Rob was at that show, right, Ted?
Rob and Gus.
Yeah, so Rob came out to the gig, which is kind of surprising. You don't see Rob at underground local gigs too often. And I thought it was kind of I just thought it was kind of out of the blue that he'd be at the show. I know he's supporting Ted and all, but still, I was surprised. And then, basically, within weeks, I was jamming with Death Angel, pretty much. So I think he was there to scope things out a little bit. But with Ted joining Scarecrow, that was the gateway for me joining Death Angel. And then a year later, Damien joining Death Angel. So yeah, Scarecrow definitely served its purpose in many ways.
It was weird because I felt quite guilty about the band splitting up, because that was primarily my fault. And when I heard you guys had gotten the Death Angel gigs, I'd sort of assuaged my guilt a little bit. I felt like, okay, all right, it all worked out in a good way. Okay, that's true. Yeah, sorry, my
totally. And with me, crazy. I had some sour grapes, and once I joined Death Angel, I was like, scare who? No, I'm kidding.
Okay, I mean,
dog inside. Come on.
I mean, that was 2009. Now we're in 2021. I'm losing track here. All that time has passed. I mean, of course, you've done Pounder, Exhumed, Gruesome. Will's done, of course, Death Angel. He's done, Reunited Old Granddad. What made you bring Scarecrow back? Which I'm stoked that you did.
Well, for me, every time Will and I would hang out, we'd cross paths at a festival or we'd be in the Bay Area when he wasn't on tour or something. We would always hang out and have a good time and be like, we should really just do that one of these days. And we actually, 10 years ago, I came up and jammed with him on some stuff. And then that night ended in a debacle. I ended up getting a DUI.
Oh yeah, it's kind of funny too. a lot of like 2 members of Scarecrow have gotten DUIs after hanging out with me. So
That's Will's a designated drinker. He doesn't drive. So anyway, so we would always just sort of talk about it. And, I never forgot the songs. I'd actually re-demoed all of the songs, like 10 years ago. And, I always believed in the material. And, then obviously COVID happened. I heard Will got really sick. That's been well documented elsewhere. We don't need to go into the details. But that just sort of impressed upon me the fact that, one of these days it better be today, or, you don't know that there's going to be another one of those days to be one of those days. So, I just felt like neither of us were on tour. He had sort of survived a near-death experience. If that doesn't sort of light a fire under, my ass, then I don't know what possibly could. And, I also think it's kind of cool because one of the reasons we struggled on the business end when we were active initially is that there was like 80 gajillion thrash bands at the time. And now there's like, a much more, the thrash population is dwindled down to a sustainable level, I feel like. And I think a band like ours, maybe outside of just playing a bunch of shows, can maybe stick out a little bit more and grab people's attention. And anyway, the songs were old sounding when we wrote them, so they're still old sounding now. And to me, I choose to think they're timeless. Some people might think they're dated, but hey,
Hey, as long as you're happy with them and you like them. I mean, listening to the songs, they do have it do reminds me of an 80s feel, the production wise and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, like someone's first album type
Right.
vibe. Is that something you were going for, both of you?
Will?
On my end, I just wanted it to sound as good as it possibly could, whether it sounded vintage or modern. It didn't make a difference to me. I just wanted to play my best and have good drum tones, or the best that we had to work with. And I'm all for songwriting being in a vintage vein and having a nostalgic vibe to it. But some of these bands that just record with only 80s gear and just try to make it sound like the most demo-ish 80s sounding recording possible, I'm not all for that. I want the recording to sound fucking good, I want it to sound good. And
Who are you talking about, Will? Come on, Will.
That's what we're out for,
Who are you talking about, Will, when you say that?
There's a lot of bands, man. Like when we tour and stuff, and bands give us their demos or just even debut albums or whatever, and I listen to it, and you tell they're purposely trying to make it sound like they recorded at their practice space in 1984, which is cool at heart, but it's not fun to listen to when especially for drum tones. When drum tones are crappy, I just tune out, man. I tune out. Like I like a good sounding snare drum,
I mean, my whole take is that I wanted something that was, clear, powerful, but I also didn't want to like throw on a ton of bells and whistles. I wanted to be pretty straightforward and simple, I think, I have the same issue that Will does sometimes, where it's like, you guys, like, I know great albums were recorded like this, but recording like this isn't what made those albums great. It was the material,
Absolutely.
and the enthusiasm, and it's like, if you really want an 80s sound, you don't have to use shitty mics. You can just take your bottom tom heads off and put reverb on stuff, and you can make it actually sound okay, not just sound stupid. It becomes, it becomes a pose. Like, look, we're so old school, and it's like you're kind of missing the point of what it was, because a lot of those albums that do sound atrocious but are classics, that band was doing the best they possibly could. The first Sodom EP is one of my favorite records ever, and it's objectively horrible, but it's everybody in that band is trying to make the best record they possibly can, and that's what makes it charming and sincere. If it just sucked, it would just, without that, it's just a bunch of people playing out of time, so it's easy to sort of miss the point, I think, when you're going for that fake authenticity, and that's not what we're about. I mean, we're just trying to, put our songs across in a way that sounds good and makes sense.
It's also a sign of weak songwriting when a band is trying that hard to recapture an 80s vibe or a certain sound. The music should bring you back to that vibe, not the production,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I agree. I mean, listening to your EP, which I'm going to play Victory in a little bit,
Sick.
it sounds really good. It's it sounds like the old days, but it's not. It's cool to hear that push and pull. It sounds like it's not on the grid, but it's on the grid. You get what I'm saying? So there's a lot of you could hear a lot of human factors. It doesn't sound all polished up and just like very perfect, which it's refreshing to me to hear that. It's to
Cool.
oppose. Will, there's a lot. I mean, you just mentioned earlier the word that you hate. Well, not hate, but and you don't like to use the most modern.
I mean, I don't like using that word to describe the way a band sounds because that's misleading, and even like if you say our new release has such a modern sound, I mean, I do like it to sound as best as it possibly could with whatever technology we're using, but just to say it sounds modern sometimes is misleading. Like you might think of I don't know, I'm so out of touch. Who's a shitty modern band right now? I don't know, like someone. I mean, like this new metal or whatever. Like sometimes that misleads you,
Like
So,
Disturbed, like the band Disturbed.
That new
Yeah,
band Disturbed from 20 years ago.
But yeah, like that, something like that. I don't want to mislead people with that word, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you should be using the recording technology should bring the musicians' qualities out. The musicians' qualities shouldn't be dependent on the recording technology, because if you can't do it without Pro Tools, then you can't do it,
Good point. Good point. On a side note, before I play Victory to the World Wide Web here, all you guys and gals who play in bands who have a demo, send it in. Will listen to it. He listens to demos from front to back, whether it's good or not. So if you want your band heard, you want to give a fighting chance, send it to Will Carroll. He'll listen to it all. Right, Will?
Yeah, and if I like it enough, like I'll play it on my my radio show on Give Me Metal, the Full Metal Jacket. Or if you send me a vinyl, if your demo is on vinyl or your first release or whatever is on vinyl and I like it, I'll play it at my DJ night I do in San Francisco every Thursday night at this bar called Willows. I have a metal night and I play local bands all the time. It's been a great way to acquire new vinyl, let me tell you. People have been coming to my DJ night with records left and right, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Will Carroll. All right, guys. Everyone in the World Wide Web, we're going to play, because when I say we, I mean Will and Matt too. We're going to play something from their EP, Raise the Death's Head. The song is, I'm going to play Victory. ? Here we go, man. Hold on. I hope my sound works this time. Usually it doesn't. Bad riff.
That's good.
Speculations will
right? You got the idea.
Man, what a good song. What a
Thanks.
good song, man.
Oh, thanks.
Nice,
Right on.
nice, nifty drum trick at the end, well, where you go fast and you break it down for a measure and go back fast. That's a good one. That's
Another Metallica trick right there.
yeah, you guys. I mean, it's really good. Now we do have. Now that we played that song while we were listening to it, while I was rocking out, there's some good comments on our Facebook page. People are digging it. It's a banger for sure. Yes, Darren Diggle, it is a banger. And Daniel Silva, yep, it's an old school thrash vibe, and he likes it. So
Thanks,
that's
guys.
good.
Cool.
Now that this EP is released, Mark Randall wants to know: is there any upcoming Scarecrow shows planned?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything you guys want to reveal? Talk about anything in the works? Let's do this.
We're
Well-
working on doing a handful of shows in early January. We have 2 shows locked in. We're playing Oakland at Eli's Mile High Club. What's the day of that show, Matt? January 8th?
I want to say it's Saturday, January 8th, I believe. Yes.
Yeah.
And then
the
the other
following
gig.
day, we're playing the Bottom of the Hill. They have on Sundays, they have like an afternoon barbecue gig. And we're playing the Bottom of the Hill, hopefully with Hellfire. And Matt's working on a couple of shows in Southern California around that same time. And yeah, that's what's on the horizon. You know, I mean, Damian lives in Mexico City and Bud lives in North Carolina, so we can't just do a show at the drop of a hat. There's a lot of moving parts involved to get a show working. So we're going to do all 4 of those shows in one cluster while they're here in town. You know, so that's what's on the horizon. And we want to record a full length at some point next year, right?
That's the plan. Yeah. I have some songs together. You know, there's mostly it's material written back from when we were an active band, and we wrote a lot of songs. And I think, like I said, they were already old school when we were we were playing them in 2008. So they're they're going to be old school now as well. And I think that they still stand up. I think that they're all the songs are the caliber of the tunes we put on the EP. And we actually recorded 2 extra songs when we were doing the EP because we weren't really sure what was going to happen with it, or if we were going to show it to a label and then they were going to ask for more or what. And so we have those 2 songs. We have a few other old songs. We have, there's also the first EP, which no one has really properly heard. So we'll probably include like a song from that as well. But yeah, I mean, hopefully early next year we'll be putting some together.
Any plans to do a full-blown tour?
I mean, it's way too early to get there. If we're able to do a record and there's interest in it and it makes sense and it works, with everybody's the moving parts of everybody's schedules, then absolutely. But that's a lot of ifs.
Seems like it could happen though.
I'd love for it to happen. I mean, I'm fully on board with it. So we'll see what happens.
Now, EP's released. You want to tell everyone across the world where they could get it? I did a pre-order. I bought a pre-order. I bought the shirt and the vinyl.
Oh, what
so
a guy. Thank
of course, you gotta make the money go around and show the support. But if you want to tell everyone who's watching where they could pick it up, I know quite a few people on my stream have picked it up. So
oh, very cool.
For the people who don't know and just tuned in and love that song Victory, I'll have these guys let you know where you could get them songs.
You can do the vinyl pre-order via relapse.com. I know that there's various variants that they have. They ship worldwide, although the shipping to Europe is horrible. And otherwise, I guess you can stream it everywhere: Apple Music, Amazon, Spotify, like whatever sort of blood-sucking corporate monster is your personal flavor. I have Spotify, so I'm not judging. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We have cassettes, but I would say order them from me, but I'm going on tour, so don't order them from me because I won't be able to ship them for a month. So
anything you want to add, Will?
I was just going to mention the cassettes. Yeah, it's not coming out in CD though, right, Matt? It's just digital download, right?
Just digital, vinyl, and cassette. Yeah.
Right.
Now that we're speaking of like vinyl and cassettes, what do you guys? I mean, I know you guys are a collector of vinyls and all that. What do you think of the cassettes coming back? Because you guys released cassettes. So what's your take on it? Do you think people actually play the cassettes and listen to them, or they just keep them as a whatchamacallit? I got the cassette.
I think it's a neat novelty item. I don't really see the cassette coming back the way vinyl has.
Right.
But it's neat to have. I actually have listened to my Scarecrow cassette quite a few times. In my kitchen, I have a little tape, a little boom box in there. So when I'm cooking food or whatever, I slapped it on a few times, and it's a neat experience. So what the hell? And Death Angel has cassettes coming out now too. Everyone does. So yeah, it's definitely a neat novelty item to have.
I mean, it just goes to show, that it's like everything, everything is cool, and then it's horrible, and then it sort of becomes interesting again, and I think, cassettes, sort of as flawed as they are, they don't have great audio quality. They suffer a lot of wear and tear, but they're small, they're portable, they're fun, they are like collectible, they're like trading card size, so that's, and it's weird because I hear some people kind of that are down on it, and I'm like, so there's an audience of like younger people that wants to buy physical music, and you're going to complain about it? Like, to me, I would be like, hey, you're in your 20s and you want to buy music, like tangible music, you want to give someone money for that? Like, awesome. If you want cassettes, great. You want 8-track, I don't give a fuck. Reel to reel, this is killer, man. So I don't want to, why dampen anyone's enthusiasm? And it's, it is what it is. I don't have a tape player, but hey.
And cassettes are also like really easy to steal. So like there's a couple of record stores in San Francisco that I've talked to the people working there, and they sell cassettes. And now they have to put the cassettes behind the counter because theft has been skyrocketing in their store since they've had cassettes. So I'm not saying that's a reason to get into them, but yeah.
I mean, it just goes to show everything old is new again. I mean, right? You know, I remember they had those big, I forget which record store it was. They had those like long plastic things. The
Totally.
cassette was at the end because it were really fucking hard to get the cassette out of and steal because I
Yep.
mean, I've stolen a couple cassettes in my younger days for sure.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, I remember walking into a Warehouse Records, and I walked out with Carcass, Tools of the Trade, Napalm, Harmony, which Napalm? Maybe Harmony Corruption, and Death Human. That was a good stealing day, you know.
Good shit. Yeah, I remember. I remember I stole a King Diamond, the Dark Sides tape from Tower in like 89, 88, 89. Good times. I bought something and then I didn't have enough to get the other tape, so I stole the other tape and a magazine.
Wow, good time. Hey, I want to give a shout out to Aki Ida. He just bought your EP on iTunes.
Oh, thanks, Aki. Fuck yeah, man.
Well, there you go. How about everyone else? Why don't you go on iTunes, listen, buy it and listen to it now. But if you want the physical, go to Relapse Records. They have all the physical. I bought one. I can't wait till it comes in. Now, before we close out, I want to talk about Scarecrow today versus Scarecrow yesteryear, not that long ago. You guys have a much more appreciation now because I remember then I saw you guys and you mentioned earlier, like Matt, you or Will, two of you guys got DUIs while Will was in the band. You guys were a partying band back then, man.
Oh.
I mean, I've heard
Oh,
stories.
yeah.
I've heard stories like before rehearsal, you guys would show up at Pops.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Then go to rehearsal, then go back
Then go
to
back
Pops.
to Pops.
But I mean, you guys were partying hardcore then, but and I remember gravity bongs and all that crazy stuff. But how about now? Do you have more appreciation for the band and the music now as you opposed to back then?
I mean,
absolutely. When we do rehearse as a full unit, I don't expect to be doing key bumps and blowing and 12 packs and all that shit while we're jamming. At least not on my part.
no.
I'm going to take it much more seriously.
I mean, you know, that was part of the whole thing, though. We were like, there was like the first year and a half or 2 years, we were like a fucking gang, you know, and we would go to every show and be like, all right, we're going to fucking like kill all the other bands. Not in like a, you know, physical way, but like we're going to play our asses off and we're going to out party everybody. And yeah, the whole thing was like a blur of Coronas, Jaeger shots, and fucking cocaine. That's what I remember. I remember getting home from rehearsal one day back in the day, and my girlfriend at the time woke me up by pounding on the window of the driver's side. She's like, "It's 4 a.m. Like, why are you asleep in your car?" And I was like, "Oh, I got home." Cool. So I don't think it's going to be sort of that degree of shenanigans now as we're all a little bit older. You know, I do definitely expect when we're rehearsing in January, you know, I would like to go to Pops personally. I think that would be
sure. Oh yeah, definitely. After rehearsal, sky's the limit.
totally.
But yeah, we used to get drunk. We used to get drunk before rehearsal, so yeah.
Yeah, I think nowadays it might just be like a couple of Coors Lights at practice, and then we can go to the bar afterwards and have a laugh, you know.
For sure.
And you know, the material is pretty. It's not like super technical or anything, but it's physically demanding to play. You know, I was running through a bunch of the songs, and it's just my fucking right hand was like, whew. So you know, it's going to take. It's because we're not able to practice 4 days a week and stuff like we used to. It's definitely going to take, you know, some sort of training regimen to like really be ready to come out and kick ass, you know, because we want to still go into those gigs with that mentality that we're going to kill all the other bands, or at least we're going to play our fucking asses off as much as we can, you know.
Well, I'm excited. I'm glad you guys got it back together. I mean, it's
Thanks,
a good
man.
EP. and I hope, everyone who's watching and spread the love, spread the word, sharing is caring. We can't, get out there to flyer, or these guys can't get out there to flyer. So we rely on everyone to share the post. But why don't you guys tell everyone where to find you, where to follow you? You got an official website or anything where they could check out anything you want to throw out?
Will, do you want to go first, or you want me to go?
I'm horrible at social media stuff, so you go ahead and let them know.
Horrible at social media, Will. I see you on social media, bro. Come on.
Yeah, I know, but I don't even know. I don't even know the name of my handle on Instagram. I don't even know what I go under. Is it Wildebeest or?
No, it's either
Bleeding Priest.
I don't even know what it is. Like when people ask, like, give us all your socials, I'm like, I have no idea what my socials are.
See, that's why to avoid that problem, I have my Instagram is at Matt Harvey Must Be Destroyed. My Facebook is facebook.com/Matt Harvey Must Be Destroyed. My website is mattharveymustbedestroyed.com. If you ever want to guess my Gmail, I'll give you 3 guesses. And of course, we have Beware of the Scarecrow on Instagram. We have facebook.com/Beware of the Scarecrow. Our Bandcamp is, I can't remember, it's bewarethescarecrow.bandcamp.com or bandcamp.com first. I can't, however it works with Bandcamp, that's what it is as well. So you can find me and the band at those nifty catchphrases.
Why do you need to be destroyed, Matt?
Well, I thought of it like, do you ever listen to Turbo Negro?
No, I've heard of them.
Okay, they're one of my favorite like punk bands, and they have a song called Turbo Negro Must Be Destroyed, and it's kind of like a destroy all monsters kind of thing.
Okay.
And that song cracked me up. And when I was changing from my old Yahoo mail to Gmail, I just wanted like a regular like Matt Harvey, Matt, whatever. And I couldn't get any of them. And I was just getting really frustrated about all these Matt Harveys out there. And then I thought of that Turbo Negro song. And so therefore, Matt Harvey Must Be Destroyed.
Well, there you go, everyone. Now, before I close out this whole thing, Will knows I always ask my guests 12 questions. It's called the Dirty Dozen. Now, Will's answered them before. If Will's answers have changed since the last time he's on, he could throw in some new answers. So I'm going to throw out 12. Are you ready, Matt Harvey and Will Carroll?
I'm ready. Fire away.
Mild or spicy?
I mean, usually I go medium, but if I had to choose, I guess spicy.
All right. Will?
Spicy.
Okay, you could jump in. You're on the show too, bro. You're my bro, and you're here with your bro, Matt. Okay,
right. You're part of the action.
Yeah, you're part of the action. Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Cats.
I'm going to say both because we acquired one a few months ago, a cat, and I'm a dog guy. So good. A movie you could watch over and over again, Matt Harvey.
Airplane.
Wow. Good one.
Caddyshack.
Caddyshack. Okay. I think the last time you said Empire, but now it changes all the time. That's good.
I mean, there's a bunch.
This is the third time. This is the third time I'm answering this question. The first time was Empire.
Yeah.
The second time was Tropic Thunder.
That's right.
And this time it's Caddyshack.
All right. See, movies. Gotta love them. Biggest pet peeve.
Biggest pet peeve. People that beat around the bush in an attempt to be nice, when they just want to know one thing and then they ask you a bunch of things surrounding it. It's like, dude, just tell me what's the point here. Like, just get to the point. That's my pet peeve.
All right.
I have a million pet peeves.
Yes.
with a test too. My current pet peeve is my fucking cat Obi jumping up on top of my Kiss mural and knocking all my Kiss figurines over. He's been doing that a lot lately, and it drives me crazy.
Yeah. Hey, man.
Maybe he's like a 70s Aerosmith fan, and he's like, this is his way of like fighting you in the hall kind of thing.
There you go. What time does your alarm clock go off?
About 7:30.
Yeah, mine's about 6:30.
I don't use the alarm clock, but I do wake up around 7:30. That's about usually when I wake up too.
That's why I like being on tour, because there's no fucking alarm clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I know. I mean, going on tour, you can wake up anytime, but I'm an early bird on tour, so I mean.
Oh wow.
very few times I've wake up late on tour. So
Dude, sometimes on tour, like, well, granted, I don't wake up till like 2 or 3 o'clock sometimes, but
4 o'clock.
like
Right.
even when I wake up by like 11, Ted's already gone to Elvis's Graceland. He's gone to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, whatever. He's done all these wild, grand things, and I'm just waking up. I feel like
That's like, dude, that's like what my wife is always telling me. Like, when you're on tour, why do you just sleep? Blah, 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 blah. You could be doing here and you could be seeing this. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know. I like sleeping a lot.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with sleeping. Don't get me wrong. Plus, too, I'm the only one in the band, exclude Damien too, where I don't party. I don't.
Right.
I hang out. I love the social environment of it all.
Sure,
but
sure.
I don't know. I just like getting up and seeing things. And usually, there's times on tour back then where I'm getting up to do something, getting ready to go out, and Will's coming in to go to bed.
Right.
It's like captain of the ship. Will, what are you doing? I'm going to bed. Well,
Right.
I'm gonna go to Hitsville in Detroit.
Good night. Good morning.
There was one show on the Slayer tour where I partied till like 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. and then went to bed and got up. It's like since we were opening on that tour, we didn't have a sound check. So I didn't have to get up midday to do a sound check or anything like that. I slept till about like 45 minutes before our set, played our half-hour set, and then went back to bed. And I remember our sound guy Tilo the next day was like, "Did you even see the sunlight yesterday?" I was like, "No, dude. I saw it coming up and I bed."
Damn, I miss touring. All right, guys, a song you love to sing when you're all alone. Could be anything. Anything.
I don't know, man. I like to sing songs even when people are around, which really irritates some people.
We all have that. We all have those songs, man, or that song.
I think like Tears of a Clown by Smokey Robinson. That's one that kind of pops in my head randomly, like when there's like silence and it's just like bum bum bum. I don't know.
See, catchy songs. I know Will has plenty in his head.
Currently, I've been humming like just lots of songs off of the Police's "Ghost in the Machine" album.
Okay.
Take your pick. Like any song on that album, I've been humming and singing to myself a lot lately.
What are the songs? Which one? I'm not that. I mean, I know the Police obviously, but I don't know which songs.
Like "Invisible Sun." "Invisible Sun's a song I hum to myself a lot. You know that song?
Yeah.
No,
I don't even wanna. It's like a slower, brooding kind of dark song on the album. That's the one I hum a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, there we go. Your dream vacation.
Either like, just like I'm a total basic vacation person. I just want to go to like an all-inclusive resort on a beach where you can like swim around and like snorkel with animals in the morning and then just drink and eat all day and night, and that's it.
Simple. I've done it. It's very relaxing.
Isn't it great?
It's great. It's great. Will.
For me, it can't be anywhere it's too far removed from the city. I'm not a big nature guy, but I have developed an appreciation for nature, especially since the pandemic and the lockdown. Like, since everything was closed, Lishan and I have been going up to the Redwoods and going to the Russian River and stuff. So I'm definitely digging that. But if there's not a comic book store, or a record store, or a bar within a mile, I'll go fucking crazy and kill someone.
Typical Will. One
Right.
thing about you that probably annoys others.
I sing along to every song or tap along drums. The other thing is, like, I'm a big comic book guy, so anybody that sees like a Marvel movie with me has to like hear a bunch of annoying comments about like, oh, this character used to do this, but in the movie they changed it to that, and blah blah blah. Oh, he's from the old Thor comic where they did this, and people are like, dude, stop. So I
do back up one of the things Matt just said about singing songs, like singing along to songs. When Death Angel Exhumed played in Mexico, and this is when Matt got arrested at the
That's
airport.
what I didn't actually play. I was in jail.
Yeah, and they played as a 3-piece, and so he missed his own gig, but he showed up shortly after, and we're drinking and having fun, and we're watching Judas Priest back by the soundboard maybe, and it's me, Matt, and Rob Cavastani actually, and Matt is along to every fucking
I could tell
song,
Rob
like,
was getting mad, so I laughed. I was like,
and Rob leaned over to me and said, "Hey, is this guy gonna do this the whole set?" And I was like, "Probably."
actually, the first time I saw Judas Priest, somebody put gum in my hair and I presume it was because I was screaming I was actually screaming the guitar solos as well, which probably probably bummed out some people.
All right, guys, what's your favorite smell?
Oof.
I hope Will's still the same. I just hope it's still the same.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
What'd you say, Matt? Well, okay. Well, cool.
I mean, I guess like waking up and smelling bacon would be like, let's do a close second. But yeah, no, I guess pussy. Yeah.
Okay. Well, is it still the same for you?
Oh yeah, round table pizza always. But I will say, I do love the smell of cats. They have a unique smell to them that like I love just putting my face into my cat's belly and taking a whiff. But yeah, I like round table pizza.
Round table pizza is sick.
Yeah, I just had a pizza last night. Me and Trish, and the smell reminded me of round table. So I'll agree with that. An instrument you wish you could play, Matt Harvey.
Piano.
You know, I get a lot of guitar players that say piano on my stream. That's awesome. It's kind of similar in a way.
Yeah, it's just great compositionally, and it's really versatile, and you know, you always have that like fun image of like at Christmas, the family, and you're sitting around on the piano and everyone's singing and having a nice time. Like that would be nice, you know?
Yeah. Will, is it still the same for you, bro?
Yeah, it's guitar. And more specifically, I would love to learn how to play the banjo. I think for some reason the banjo would fit my character for some reason.
You look like a banjo player.
You do look like a banjo player.
Man, exactly.
Just to let everyone out there know, I have video footage of Will shredding on a guitar. It's insane. Acoustic and electric. It's insane, dude. Insane. I'll post it one day, maybe one day. All right, on a scale of 1 to 5, how good of a dancer are you, Matt Harvey?
Oof, I would say 1.5. I am not a good dancer.
Well, you're still a good dancer.
I'd say 4.
Look at that.
Yeah, 4.
Will is a good dancer. I mean, he's a drummer. If he doesn't have like natural full body rhythm, I'm like, I can move my hands in rhythm, but like moving my body, I feel really self-conscious, which is a shame.
All right, what'd you have for breakfast today?
This is one of the dozen. It's just a breakfast question.
Yeah.
I just had eggs, mushrooms, ham, onion, and some homegrown peppers and a tortilla.
Nice.
What do you mean just? You just named like 5 different things. I just had eggs, mushrooms, ham.
Well, I'm just thinking. I'm just saying.
A turkey leg.
Right.
What'd you have, Will?
I had a protein bar.
Look at you. Okay, here's a bonus question for 2 Scarecrow dudes. Metallica, very Metallica influenced band. Ride the Lightning or Master of Puppets?
Master, but I mean, obviously both are great.
Okay, Master.
Ride the Lightning for me, but same as Matt. You know, you can't really say one is so much superior than the other. You know, they're both masterpieces, but for some reason, I think the guitar tone wins it for me on Ride the Lightning.
Yeah. I wish that the Master of Puppets sounded like Ride the Lightning. Then it would be
totally.
Because
I don't think it would be. I don't think it would be as iconic. I don't think.
I mean, everyone has to be different, so that makes sense. But yeah, I got to go Master because I feel like with Lightning having the instrumental last, it kind of feels like a weird pacing choice that they straightened out on the next 2 albums. You know, in terms of like slotting the songs in the right kind of rise and fall order. But obviously, yeah, both are great. Without both of them, we would probably none of us would be sitting here today.
Exactly. And I'm gonna ask a side question before I actually close this whole thing out. Will, you probably get mad at me for asking at Matt Harvey this, but how come you don't like Aquaman?
Who said I didn't like Aquaman?
Oh, dude, I remember once there was. I tell people this story. One time at practice, like we were disputing something, and I went like, "All right, Aquaman," and you go, "Don't fucking call me Aquaman, dude." And you got really pissed, man. Like you pointed at me and went, "Don't fucking call me Aquaman, dude."
I think it's just because clearly in like the hierarchy of the Justice League, you know, like he's clearly below Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. You know, he's like down there with like Hawkman, who can only fly and just whack people with a mace. So I think maybe that was more the thing. But no, I like Aquaman.
It was totally meant as a slight because I think Aquaman sucks. So I was like, okay, Aquaman, like that.
I love that. I love that story. And you know, I had the band Bonded by Blood on my show.
Oh, cool.
The singer Jose, he's a big comic book freak just like you, and he told me I have the first edition #1 Silver Surfer.
Oh,
comic.
rad.
And he got it as a. I think he could probably, if he's watching, he might correct me, but I think he got it as a gift from his teacher if he had good grades.
Wow.
No, I thought it was the first.
Something.
I thought it was the first Spider-Man.
No, it's Silver Surfer. One of those two. Silver Surfer. I think because Silver Surfer is his favorite comic.
And Silver Surfer also seems more like something that people could afford because like Amazing Spider-Man #1 is like astronomical, whereas Silver Surfer #1 is expensive, but like, you know,
I could be wrong. Well, it's either Silver Surfer or Spider-Man.
I watched that episode. I thought he said Spider-Man, which is why that was jaw-dropping. Like,
yeah,
the first fucking Spider-Man. Damn, you know.
Yeah, right. One of those two. Either way, but Spider-Man's more. Yeah, Spider-Man's more worth it, but still, Silver Surfer is pretty badass.
Oh, it's super awesome. It's great. Yeah, it's not. I'm just thinking, like, I have, you know, some like key issues that are in bad condition, and that's the only reason I could afford them, and I bought them in the '90s. So, yeah, just thinking about the market, like getting an Amazing Spider-Man #1 or Amazing Fantasy 15 is just like, I mean, the entry point is like the cost of like a car, you know, not a great car, but a car.
Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Harvey, Will Carroll from Scarecrow, please. Oh, well, shout out to Aki Ida for buying the EP. I hope everyone buys it, streams it, whatever you do. Check them out. They're a great band. I'm glad to have them on. Scarecrow, Matt Harvey, Will Carroll, everyone, thanks for joining on the live and streaming. Guys, stick around for a bit while I close out. Have a good time and check out this band.